Sunday morning on CBS. And here again is Lee Cowan.
Now you know why Tig Notaro's humor is a little difficult to describe. Luke Burbank introduces us to a woman who finds humor in just about anything, sometimes in life's least funny moments.
I'm originally from Mississippi.
It's the little things that seem to fascinate Tig Notaro.
My favorite laugh noise is the sigh after the laugh. The... Because it's like you're reminiscing about 1 second ago.
Notaro has been reminiscing a lot lately.
That says Tig's autograph.
With a memoir just out.
I wish you a clean bill of health.
Thank you, sir. You too.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
Where do you think your boobs are?
And an Amazon TV show based largely on her
Where
life.
did the doctors put them when they took them off? Did they just throw them in a trash can?
I hope so. Recycling was out of the question.
Who first started calling you Tig?
My brother came up with the name Tig when I was 2. He couldn't say my real name, which is Mathilde.
It's so strange because you seem like a Tig. I don't even know what a Tig is.
Yeah, what would be my other name if there had to be?
Gary?
Yeah. Not only is my real name weird, but my nickname is weird. And there's nothing normal.
Her mother was far from the norm in the Houston suburb where Notaro grew up. She was a free spirit who reveled in having adventures. Like the time she drove her 11-year-old daughter and her friend home on the hood of the car.
There was this guy at a stop sign in like a muscle car. She pulled up next to him and had her window down with 2 little girls on her hood. And she was like, "Hey, want to drag?" And that's who raised me. You know, it's hard to be in society and be like, I'm sorry, what are the rules?
Notaro followed her own rules through life, dropping out of high school and ending up in LA, where she found her way into stand-up.
That is my favorite visual in the entire world, is an infant taking a shower. Because it's like, even as adults, we have to be careful when we take a shower. We could slip. Then when you add an infant to that equation, it gets really tricky.
Honing her craft over 20 years, she'd become a successful touring comic and TV actor. But that's when everything started falling apart.
I could not ingest any food without it coming out of my body. And so I was losing half a pound a day.
She'd contracted C. diff, a life-threatening bacterial infection. Notaro hovered in and out of consciousness in the hospital. Finally, she was released, which should have been cause to celebrate, except for the call she got from her stepfather.
I'm afraid I have some terrible news. Your mother fell last night, and it looks like she's not going to make it.
The doctor had told us that there was 0 chance of recovery, and we took her off life support.
Notaro's mother was just 66. Then, 2 months later, as if C. diff and her mother's sudden death weren't enough.
I was diagnosed with bilateral breast cancer. And I've made so many jokes over the years about how flat-chested I was. I started to think that maybe my boobs overheard me. And we're just like, you know what? We are sick of this. Let's kill her.
How long had you known that you had lumps in your breast before you actually went and got it checked out?
I had different levels of awareness maybe a couple of years before, so I just ignored it. And I get waves of like, oh my God, the fact that I let that go.
The diagnosis was grim. Stage 2 invasive cancer. But this is where Tig Notaro did something most of us would think was crazy. In the midst of her grief and shock and fear, she decided to go back on stage at LA's famed club, Largo.
Good evening. Hello. I have cancer. How are you? Is everybody having a good time?
Would it be accurate to say that you felt like this could possibly be your last comedy show?
I absolutely thought it could be my last comedy show because I didn't trust where things were going.
What followed was raw, uneven, brutally honest, and unbelievably funny.
It's gonna be okay. It might not be okay, but I'm just saying, you're gonna be okay. I mean, it obviously changed my career in a way that I actually never imagined for myself.
But despite her newfound success, Notaro says she struggled to adjust to her new body after her double mastectomy. For a long time, she wouldn't even look in the mirror.
Please welcome Tig Notaro.
Eventually, though, that changed too.
Do not tempt me. I will do it. I will.
And she did, performing much of her HBO special, topless.
Why did you do that?
You sound angry at me. After one show, this guy was like, this is about being human beings. This is our bodies. What is the big deal? Why is this taboo?
I heard through the grapevine.
Before that epiphany, though, back when Tig was being very private about her health problems, she'd met someone on the set of a movie.
You should cut your hair.
Stop trying to woo me by being mean.
Actress and writer Stephanie Allen.
So she was hiding the fact that she was very, very ill.
I really did think she had a cold, because I remember going, oh, you should have some tea. But even in all of that, you were still making jokes.
Their paths crossed again a year later at the film's premiere, and they hit it off. So much so that Notaro soon realized she was falling in love.
I reached a point where I was like, oh, I want to be with this person. And then she said no.
Did you actually say no?
Yeah, I couldn't identify it because I hadn't been with women, and I really had an identity crisis because I felt like I needed to know this about myself before I could then say, okay, yes.
They married last year, and any day now are expecting twins being carried by a surrogate.
2 boys.
Do you guys have names picked out yet?
Itsy and Bitsy. People also ask what we're going to be called because there's 2 moms, you know. So my suggestion has been the pretty one and the funny one, but I want to be the pretty one, and I want Stephanie to be the funny one.
Notaro says she never actually thought she'd be famous.
See you later, Kate.
Never expected to have cancer, which she says is now in remission. And she certainly could have never guessed that her darkest days would lead her here,
I was awake
to this light-filled house full of love and promise, making Tig Notaro the luckiest unlucky person you might ever meet.
What I'm most proud of and most excited about is my personal life and the fact that I am alive and happy and thriving. That's what I want to talk about. That's what excites me.